Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Calm Mom webinar. I'm actually coming in a little bit early, as well as Ashley will then shortly, to just kind of to get to know everyone before we start the webinar, and to maybe start with some questions as well then too, and to acknowledge everyone who's here. So we'll kind of give it a minute or so until Ashley is here, and then we will start promptly at 1 p.m. Eastern. So when you do arrive, if you want to go ahead and just put into the chat box, which is over to the right, just to introduce yourself, maybe where you're from, how you heard about the webinar, and I'll just kind of be quiet here for a little bit and just be looking at my notes before we get started. So welcome. Hey, Ashley.
Hi, how are
Good to
you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm good. Staying warm
Cool.
inside. We got snow outside, so it's winter finally.
Yeah, yeah. No, it took a
Mhm.
little while for you guys to get snow, eh? Because my parents are in Waterloo, so they're not too far from you.
Yeah, we didn't get actually. I was away for the weekend at a DoTerra boot camp, and we had no snow for our left. And then when I came back, we've had like three snow since then. So, yeah,
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I'm
That's
gonna like
awesome.
close my one curtain here because
Sure.
it's cold.
Hey, Ashley, you're a little bit choppy. What am I
There we go.
like? Is my am I clear and stuff like that?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Because yours is really choppy. Do you want to maybe just pop out and pop back in just to kind of see if that maybe
Okay.
clears it?
Okay.
Okay, that'd
And
be cool.
I'm wondering, and I hope it's okay. Like our internet, we're getting upgraded next week.
Yeah.
it's being annoying. So I normally will
Oh.
take my, like if I take my limit my bandwidth, did that just help?
A little bit,
A
yeah.
little bit? Is it, I'll
Like,
take it down to the lowest.
okay.
Oh, see, then it turns me on to, can you see me?
No, I just see
No.
your. Oh wait, you're coming. Oh no.
Okay.
What happens is it wants to just do your little icon picture. Now it's back to
Yeah.
you.
Okay, can you hear me fine now?
Yeah, it's just there's like a little bit of an echo that's coming back just slightly. And then your picture like is a little like wonky, like a little delayed.
Okay, well, I have it on very low, and honestly, I don't think there's going to be much we can do
Okay.
unless I turn the camera off. So I had to do that before where sometimes I have to turn it off until we get, we called today, but they can't, like it takes a week delay to come and actually set it
Yeah.
up. So,
Okay. Well, you know what? Why don't
yeah.
when people start popping in, we're kind of saying hello. We'll just ask them, what are you guys seeing?
Okay,
Right? Because it's possible it's just connection between you and me right now. So,
okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends, and I know that like we don't have Netflix on. My husband's like, "Can I upload something?" I'm like, "No, I'm going on a webinar. Do not touch the internet. Don't touch it."
Oh gosh. So
Yeah.
Chatham, not the fastest internet. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it is. We don't
Yeah.
have, so we just have to sell, and we're upgrading to the cable line
Mhm.
because just the up and down, like the actual speed, we just haven't upgraded. So what we're
Okay.
going to do is we're canceling our cable and then we're upgrading our internet because son's obsessed with Netflix anyway, so we never get to watch TV anyways, other than
Yeah.
so yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So we're good to go though with content, and you're good and seems to
Awesome.
be straightforward. Okay,
Yeah, I love it all. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah, like we talked about, I'll just go right into your bio. We'll kind of like it's. I got 10:56 here right now, so I know what my last one. Everyone kind of popped in right at the very end, like or right at the beginning, I should say. So we
good.
might
Okay.
give it a couple minutes, right, for everyone to kind of pop on who's registered,
Yeah.
and then I'll go right into your bio, and then the poll, and then we'll go right into the questions. So no, it's great.
Sounds good.
Great. I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
So
I am
yeah,
too. I think it'll be
yeah.
fun. I want to turn off. There we go. I turned it off. I had my little box where it's like HD or not, and it wouldn't
Okay,
go away,
cool.
so I couldn't see your face. So how's the terror going? Well, before everyone pops in.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes?
I love it. I so
Isn't it
love it.
great?
I actually have my diffuser here right now with some Citrus Bliss diffusing as we're doing the webinar. So no, I love it, and it's easy for me to talk about stuff and share stuff, obviously, when I feel really strongly about it, right? And I'm noticing results with my kids, and a lot of our patients are really excited. So yeah, it's good, and I feel fortunate because I have kind of a really big community on and offline. So there's a lot of people I can introduce it to, which is awesome, and people are so, oh my gosh, like more than supplements actually, Ashley.
No, I know. You're just
People are like, yeah, they're so reluctant to take fish oil. It'll give me a lot of excuses or challenges to why they can't do it. But essentials are like, ooh, yeah, I'm down. Let's do this. So it's kind of fun in that it's people are very open to it.
yeah,
So
and it's very user friendly, especially I know with kids. There's no, I mean, you just have to get them in a place to put it on their feet, but it's not like you're having to get them to take orally if they don't want to. You can take it, and rub it on them, which is nice. So
yeah.
I hear you. I hear you.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool.
It's fun.
Okay, well, we'll wait for people to come on here.
Okay, and I know that sometimes, people like to watch the recording, which is why it's recorded.
Yeah,
And it's
no, that's
fantastic.
okay. That's all good. Yeah, what I did, my last couple ones I did, because actually they were just me, but because it was like people were coming on, I'm like, hey, welcome, to all the different people, is I just, when we got to that point, when uploads to YouTube, I just put start at this. And so it's, if they want to watch our pre-chat before, that's fine. But they just want to know where to start with the webinar, and then they're good to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean,
especially moms, I found too. Like a lot of the moms are going to come in late.
Yeah, and I love the technology that it immediately made me play, and everyone can watch it. That's the
Yeah.
joy of us living in 2015 now. Which
Exactly.
saying that you still want to say 2014 for like the first whole month of January.
I
But
totally still do. Yeah. I still feel like anything in the year 2000 seems so futuristic to me.
yeah, I remember like where were you on the night when we went to the year 2000? I was actually babysitting. I was such a loser. I chose to babysit instead of spending it with my friends. I was still in high school.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wasn't in high school then. I was much
It was my last year of high school, if that makes you feel better.
Well, it was the whole Y2K thing then too. Remember that? Where it's like,
yeah.
banks are going to crash, everything's going to go down. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. And now we're all moms and we're like, man, whatever. It'll be the same tomorrow. No sleeping in. Just same old.
Yeah, totally. How's your boy doing?
He's lovely. He was sick all over the holidays, which was not fun. Like really sick. We had this super bug going around southwestern Ontario, and it started with a GI bug. And I thought we got to the last day of daycare, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna get to the end of the year without him getting sick from school. And then he came home from school, and I'm not kidding. Half an hour later, he's like vomiting everywhere. So yeah, he had the GI bug. He gave it to us. And then I was still sick with it, and then he started with a creepy, chesty cough thing. So that took him all the way until the beginning of daycare again, and then he magically got fine. So he was sick.
Oh my gosh.
And I was sick. I got it to my sinuses instead of my chest, but yeah, we were sick.
Oh, that's
but
cool.
He's fantastic now, and just getting back into the daycare thing. But,
into routine. Hey, I want to say hi to Beth. Hi, Beth. So, Beth, if you can let us know, we're just kind of getting started in a few minutes, but we just would like to, if you can go into the chat and just let us know how the picture is for me and Ashley and how the sound. So if you want to, if everything's cool, if you want to like type in thumbs up or if something's different, just go ahead and chat and to let us know would be fantastic. Make sure that you can hear us okay then too. So yeah, we were quite run down too over the holidays. Same with our guys and us too. So yep.
It's a crazy super bug. Like my cousin has it now, and they've actually diagnosed her with pneumonia. Like it's stuck. It gets stuck in. I've never had a sinus infection before, and I'm pretty sure there were some colors coming out I've never seen before. So I was doing the sinus tea.
Yeah.
It was great. Oh, there's Beth. Hello.
Can you hear us okay then, Beth?
Cool. All is well.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So we'll get a few more. Beth, we were just kind of chatting about saying that both Ash and I work with a lot of moms, and so moms typically sometimes run a little bit late, or someone's woken up from a nap, or something else is going on. So we'll give it a couple minutes, and then we'll kind of go right in and get started then too. Hey, Beth, let me know then too, how did you hear about the webinar? I'd love to get your feedback on that. If you saw it through Facebook, or maybe you are part of my newsletter, but if you can let us just put in the chat how you heard about the webinar, that would be awesome. And then Ashley, maybe we'll just give it just a couple of more minutes, and then we'll go right in and get started then. So
okay, sounds good. I'm excited to get on with it. My afternoon, be productive.
And then Beth, we're going to also start with a poll, so you'll kind of, a lot of this too, and anyone else who's popping into the webinar right now as well, is we're going to do a lot of participation as well then too, and so we'll kind of see the questions as they're coming in throughout the webinar as I'll be interviewing Ashley, but then we'll have a chance to answer those at the very end as well then too, so yeah, you'll be in and out, Beth? Yeah, that's fine. She's saying I've got 2 kids up now, so but yeah, that's totally that is mommy life, right? So what's cool is that
for recordings.
Yep, totally. What's cool is that even those who say like if people can't make the webinar, that you're gonna get the recorded replay either way. So if you kind of go back and go, I missed that one really part that I'd like to go back, or you just want to watch it again, you'll get the replay sent to you about 3 hours after the webinar. So cool. So Facebook, okay, awesome. Yeah, I had lots of stuff running there on Facebook as well, so that's wonderful.
I saw it. I liked it. I liked it. So I'm like, yay, a webinar with me. Like. Is that like narcissistic or?
No, well, that's where, Facebook's great because that's where a lot of moms hang out. I put stuff
Yes.
up on Twitter as well, but for a lot more moms, it's Facebook. It's Facebook.
Yep,
So,
I find exactly the same thing. All the moms we may not get on every other social platform, but Facebook,
Facebook is the one,
who
right?
watches anything anymore? We just go on Facebook to find out what's happening in the world.
Totally. Cool. Okay, well, why don't we just go right in and get started? Whoever's coming in late will come in late. So welcome, Beth, and all the moms who are hopping onto the webinar. This is the Calm Mom Cleanse webinar, and I'm super, super excited to be hosting this with Ashley. I'll be actually interviewing Ashley throughout the webinar, but I want to first go ahead and introduce Ashley so you can get to know a little bit more about her. So Ashley Sirocas is a registered holistic nutritionist, meal planning mediator, I love that term, and founder of LoveWhatYouEat.ca, who helps busy moms get their real food on. And she believes that for modern day moms, health and well-being isn't just about what's on your plate, it's about what you can take off your plate. And through her signature one-on-one coaching programs, seminars, and workshops, Ashley teaches moms how to use food as a tool to peel away the stress, make room for happiness, and bring back balance. So before we get in and right into all the great questions with Ashley, I'm going to actually pop up the first poll, which we're going to start here. Hopefully that's popping up. So you're going to see, okay, so the question is, when you think of a cleanse or a detox, what comes to mind? So I have a little bit of delay. I've started the poll, but let me know if you can see, or actually, you know what I'll do as well, too? Can you see that, Ashley, on your end?
I actually don't. Does it come up in the chat?
Yeah, it should come up in the chat. Let me just do.
I'm a little bit of a delay.
Okay, let me just start it again. And if not, you know what I'll do? We'll just kind of talk through it then in case. This is technology sometimes, hey? But so the question is this. So when you think of a cleanse or a detox, what comes to mind? Do you think of green juice or smoothies? Do you think of super restrictive diet or food choices? Do you think it's going to be that you feel like crap for about 5 days? Or you're going to have to run to the bathroom 10 times. So go ahead and put in the chat, just in case those aren't coming up with the options, just what you think when you think of a cleanse. It's either getting the green juice thing, you got to restrict foods, you're going to feel crap, or you're going to run in the bathroom. So go ahead and put that then into the chat.
Or all of the above.
Or all the above, totally,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I told Ashley, we were kind of getting ready as well then too, that I'm going to share my experience back in the mid-90s with it wasn't really called a green juice. It was much more like a fringe thing. Like people weren't really doing it unless you're like a hardcore vegan, which I was at the time. But yeah, of doing a juice fast for a few days and how that really affected me. And then Ashley's going to explain a lot as to why I had the effects that I did at that time then.
Yes, and I actually have friends doing a cleanse like that, like green juice, green smoothies right now, and I can touch on, oh God, they had to give it up. They were not doing well, and I knew they were. Normally that friend's all over Facebook texting me. I text her, I'm like, oh God, she's not texting back. I think she must be dead from this cleanse.
She's not responding, so yeah.
Yeah,
so all the above.
Yeah,
thanks for that. Totally. So let's get right into the questions, and Ashley. Let's get to this. So we were just kind of talking about this. This is a good segue. So when people think of cleansing, so things like, again, right now the whole trend is the green juices or the smoothies. So they often think of things like you're going to not have any dairy, no caffeine, no weed, or even like a raw food diet has kind of become a thing as well too. So what do you actually mean when you say a real food cleanse? How would you define that?
All right, so and I took an advanced course on this, specifically learn these things, and I had some knowledge. I mean, I've been a registered holistic nutritionist since 2008. So I had, at the time I took the last January, almost 6 years of experience in cleansing, and I had made some assumptions about what foods are good for cleansing and what aren't. And I kind of had my eyes opened as well to what sort of nutrients are needed by the body. And when we say cleanse or detox, what we're really wanting to do is upregulating the natural mechanisms of the organs of cleansing, which are your lungs, your skin, your intestines, and especially your liver. So what we want to do is, those things are detoxing all the time. Oh, and I forgot our kidneys. They're detoxing all the time. Without detox, oh, Beth lost connection. She back in? Hopefully she gets back in. I'm assuming she can get back in, but she'll see it in the recording.
Okay, cool.
So when we wouldn't be alive without detoxing. Like, your body is detoxing every minute of every single day because we are always breathing them in, we are slathering toxins on our skin, we're eating them on our food, we're taking pharmaceuticals which have to be detoxed in the liver mainly, and then going through those other kind of secondary systems after they've been processed by the liver. So the liver needs very specific nutrients to help support those chemical processes that are happening when it's trying to detox. What I mean by that is it's just taking chemicals and it's breaking it down into different types of chemicals that can be excreted from the body. So two main ways of excretion are water-soluble ones, which are going through our kidneys, and then we have our fat-soluble ones, which are going out through bowel movements with the bile and out with our poop. So the rest of them are just kind of circulating in our blood, and we're detoxing. You know, even you can look at carbon dioxide. That's a detox reaction. Every time we breathe, we're breathing out carbon dioxide, which is a waste. We're bringing in oxygen, which we need to live. So really, that is the basis of a cleanse or a detox, is to just provide extra amounts of nutrients to get those systems working a little bit better than how they were, even we can say more efficiently. So that's the main goal when we're doing a detox. And since we need nutrients, we can't do a detox without providing food, because that's where we're getting all of our nutrients from. Now, part of it, and why I say food cleanse, is because when we have these restrictive diets like green juicing, green smoothies, green juicing especially, you're taking all of the lovely phytochemicals and some of the water-soluble minerals and vitamins out of there, but we're not getting protein. We're not getting healthy fats. We're not getting like the protein, especially in phase 2 liver detox, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Your body needs protein, and especially animal protein, to detox effectively in the liver. And if we're not providing that with the foods and we're cutting out huge areas of the food chain, then we're not going to be effectively detoxing. And actually, phase 2 liver detox is the one that absolutely needs to happen to get the most damaging things out of our system, the most damaging chemicals. And so if we're not having enough protein to go with that, and we're just kind of fasting for a little bit, or just doing green juices for 3 or 7 or however many days at a time, we're not providing the entire nutrients that our body needs. That's what I mean when I say a real food cleanse. We are eating real food, common foods that are found at the grocery store, because those can be just as detoxing as going on a crazy restrictive cleanse or green juice diet or raw food diet as well.
Yeah, and I think, you know what, this is going to relate to a lot of moms as well too, Ashley, because that kind of thing that you're talking about, which you said could possibly have some, you know, benefits, or maybe for a short period of time. However, for most people, as moms, we're like, I'm not doing that. That's too complicated. So I think to have it where it's real food, obviously, makes it where it's going to open up to more moms, and they're still going to get really good benefits. So let's talk a little bit about when to do a cleanse, right? So we're in January now. It's January 14th, the whole New Year's resolution, right? I was like, okay, what do I want to kind of do for this year, and what do I want to reset with? And that's when people will typically tend to think of cleansing, right, is at the beginning of the year. So when's the best time of the year that you've found to really cleanse in your experience?
Okay, so the best time of year is not January, even though it kind of naturally falls in the whole New Year's resolution thing. The best time of year is when your body is stressed least by the outside, weather especially. So ideally, and especially us living in Canada, or even the northern states, you're not in California or Texas or Florida, it's when your body is not experiencing extreme temperatures. Whether it be really, really hot temperatures, like in the middle of summer, or whether it be really, really cold. Because a detox is actually another added stress on the system. And it is our body where we are breaking down things in our bodies and breaking down these chemicals that have been kind of floating around for many, many months or maybe years since we've either done a last cleanse, or if we never have, just since they've come into our body. And January is when it's the most extreme temperatures, January and February, is also when we need the most warming foods and we need the most fat in our body to keep us warm. Our metabolisms are increased, and our body is worrying about everything else like survival rather than detoxing. So it's actually like you're working really hard, and you can be really following to the T a fantastic cleanser or detox, but it's not going to be as effective as if you just waited until the spring or the fall, which is when it's kind of the nice medium temperatures, it's fairly good weather. That's when it is the best time. And if you're looking also at the natural cycles of the seasons and what kinds of foods are coming up seasonally, the spring and the fall are when the most cleansing foods are available as well. So the spring especially, that's when you're going to see all of your fresh greens, your dandelion, your bitter greens and herbs coming up, and they're all fresh and new, and they have the most nutrients in them. And those are the foods that have the most nutrients that we need for detoxing and to support especially the liver as well. So that's when you kind of want to follow the seasons with detoxing and cleansing.
That's cool. It makes a lot of sense. I've never heard anyone kind of explain it that way then too, because you're right. You're stressing the body. So if it's already under stress because of extreme weather conditions, not to mention just falling with nature and go, well, what foods are naturally, those of us that have 4 seasons, coming into season and kind of working with that rhythm, if you will, of what's happening on our earth. So that makes a lot of sense, actually. I've never heard kind of anyone, again, explain it that way before. So
when you look at, interestingly enough, a lot of religions around the world, spring and fall is when they're naturally going to have a cleansing time. So you have Ramadan, you have Lent. Now it's like almost an intuitive thing that's happened over thousands of years that humans have just figured out that that's a good time to renew and, kind of take a break from everything and let the body do its own extra spring cleaning and fall cleaning.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so let's get into a little bit about the types of cleanses. So I want to talk about the elephant in the room. And I can tell you, when we used to chat with our patients in the office, I could see the look on their face. As soon as we start talking about cleanse, they're going, am I going to be pooping 10 times a day, right? Am I going to have to, so when people think of cleansing, they often think of, am I going to have to run to the bathroom? Am I going to be sick for days on it? Like, do I have to schedule my life around it, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the most effective way to cleanse to kind of avoid some of these uncomfortable, if you will, situations? Since, again, with moms, we're talking about before the webinar of kids being sick, it's like you don't really have time for that. And so tell me how you find is the most effective way to cleanse when you've worked with clients.
Okay, the most effective way to cleanse is you do want to go through a system, and that's because you want to go gradually deeper, deeper, and deeper. And the most deepest really that you can get, technically, I don't usually go this far with clients immediately, but a heavy metal cleanse or a candida cleanse would be kind of the deepest that you're going to go. But before you do any of that, you want to do a liver cleanse, because the liver is processing all of these extra things that are going to be, when you're going really, really deep, it's going to be processing all of those extra toxins that are sort of stirred up. But before we do a liver cleanse, we need to make sure that the colon is moving properly. Because like I said before, the liver, when it is doing its major detoxing, one of 2 pathways. Most of them are going through the kidneys, but a lot of the toxins as well are coming out of the bile and being excreted into the small intestine, and then they're coming out with bowel movements. If you're not having your bowels move often enough, which ideally, when people hear kind of my definition of constipation, they're like, holy, for lack of a better word, holy crap, because technically, whether you're pooping minimum once a day is kind of that cutoff for constipation. If you're not going at least once a day, you are constipated. It can be more than once a day. 3 would be optimal, but if you only are going once a day, on average, and I'll have my little handy, showing you, it should be from the length from your wrist to your elbow every day. That is how much you should be pooping.
That's a fun visual. Hey?
Optimally. And so it's different for everyone. So, my forearm isn't going to be as big as someone else's forearm.
Right.
But whether that's 3 separate times, smaller, or whether it's 1 large one, that's an optimal, making sure that you are moving food through that long small intestine. That's the amount of time. And if you don't have your small intestine and your large intestine moving properly, then the toxins that are trying to get out are just going to be reabsorbed. So the longer they're sitting in your intestine, the more likely the toxins are getting reabsorbed. So if you are not getting the toxins out, and you're working so hard to do a liver detox or so hard to do a deeper detox like heavy metal or candida, it is like throwing a bucket of water against a closed door. You're working, or for, even like the mom's analogy, you're in a rocking chair. You're working really hard, but you're not going anywhere because the toxins aren't getting out. So before we even do liver, anything else, we want to do colon first. Colon always first. And very, very gently, it can be done with food-based like flax and chia seed. It does not have to be, and especially like if you've known anyone or yourself has gotten a colonoscopy, they will give you a magnesium citrate to clean you out very quickly. It is painful. It is not pleasant. That's most of the time what stops someone from getting sometimes a life-saving colonoscopy is that whole cleansing situation before. So instead of us doing it in a day or a day and a half, we're going to spread it out over a week. And the more gradually you can spread it out, the less likely that you are going to have those cleansing reactions. Because all that a cleansing reaction is you're stirring up the toxins too quickly before they can get out of the body. So if we're doing it gradually, it gives the toxins a chance to get out, and the more they're getting out, the less likely they are to cause, in the very mildest form, usually a headache. But in its most toxic form, you know, you're in bed sick, feeling like you have the flu, you have achy joints, you're nauseous, you're going to the washroom 10 times a day. I had a friend that started a cleanse a couple of days ago, and she likes caffeine, so we knew, I told her beforehand, you are going to have a severe cleansing reaction. And it was Monday, she had such a bad headache. She said she had her head squeezed between two pillows and she was crying. It was so painful. And this is a girl who has done natural childbirth twice, and her labors were an hour and a half long. So this is a girl who knows what real pain is, and she couldn't handle it. And that's never a good situation. She has a 7-month-old to take care of. That's not realistic for a mom to do that, ever.
Yeah, and you know what, too, if we can go back to the poop thing for a second. I'd like to talk about poop, actually. Let's talk about the poop thing. I find, and I don't know if this has been your experience, too, working with moms, is that a lot of women, it's very common, not normal, but very common that they're constipated. Now, do you find that different with women versus men? Is there some emotional stuff with that? Is it I'm pooping, that whole thing that maybe some women feel about having bowel movements? Why is it that you think that, again, this is maybe just my experience, but working with patients, but it's definitely more women than men that tend to have those challenges. So why do you think that's going on and that's an issue? And then therefore, do you see that a lot of moms maybe have those bigger reactions, like you mentioned your friend, perhaps when they're having that kind of response when they're going through a detox or a cleanse?
Okay, so I don't work, actually, funnily enough, I don't work with a lot of men. I tend to draw. I've been in practice for 7 years. I will say I've worked with 3 men over that entire time period. They're just not into what I'm doing, and I'm a specialist in hormones and hormone balance, so I'm not getting as many of the men as normal. But yeah, I don't think you've ever, if anything, it's the opposite, where I'll hear and I think it just comes, honestly, like with being a man, do they just love farting and pooping, and it's just in their genes or something. My son already, he's 2, and he'll fart, and he thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. He just cracks himself up laughing. But you always hear the men, they're like, oh, I had the best poop. You don't ever hear women saying that. And I think it's a very delicate interplay. Number one, I know that with the majority of my patients, or I can't say patient, clients, I'm used to saying patients when I'm talking to chiropractors, but clients, they don't drink enough water. Number one, and I think that really stems from the mom syndrome of not taking enough time for ourselves. We get to the end of the day, I can tell you how many times I've had conversations with friends, they get to the end of the day, they have not peed in 8 hours, even though they feel they need to go. They just, oh yeah, I should pee right now, I have to go. And then they just get busy and they're so focused on whatever else they're doing, they forget to pee. So if they forget to pee, they're definitely not drinking enough water. And if you are drinking enough water, it's not oh yeah, I feel a little bit like I have to pee. It's you have to pee. Ideally, probably once every other hour would be nice, going to having enough liquid in you to have that urge to go. And it's a delicate interplay with the liquids in the systems, because if your bowel movements are sitting in your small intestine, and if they don't have enough water in them, that creates friction. It's just like rubbing, not soft things against another not soft thing. So because it's sitting there for so long, the bowel movement and the actual material will start to pull water from that small intestine and from the large intestine, and then make it even harder and harder to go. So number one, I think we're not hydrated enough as moms. Number two, there's that delicate interplay between the adrenal and the thyroid hormones, so the stress hormones. And then thyroid hormones, I mean, that's one of the number one diagnosed, necessarily diagnosed, but prescribed medications. It is sometimes hard to get that thyroid diagnosis of low thyroid function, but that definitely lends towards constipation. And then not only that, but I have some moms, because I specialize in hormones, they, at certain times of the month, they just naturally will get constipated, and then at other times of the month, they naturally have more of the looser side and looser bowels. So I think there's just more of that delicate interplay between hormones that we have rather than men. That's what I think it comes down to.
It makes a lot of sense, yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's move a little bit from food and talk about what are the things we can do to cleanse. So besides, again, food, are there other ways that we can really detoxify our bodies?
Yes, and this is where I think moms are going to have the hardest time, because you have to eat either way, and it is a total mind shift when you go from looking at food as this thing that you have to do to using it as a tool to either create disease or create health. And especially with moms, we get so exhausted after we make these lovely meals for our children that, oh, you know, heaven forbid my kids eat sugar or the sugary junk. But then by the time you're done making their wonderful meal, you're so exhausted that you shove a chocolate bar in your mouth. That's probably also another reason for constipation too, is we don't focus enough on our own food intake. And that's why I really promote in my Calm Mom Challenge, it's put your own oxygen mask on first. If you can't even sit down to eat anything properly, or even, you know, how many of us drink our coffee or our tea long after it's cold? It's because we don't put ourselves above anything else that we have to do. So the second part of that, coming into the lifestyle, is we have to make that shift, because if we don't even have enough time to focus on our food intake, a lot of the other things that we can do for cleansing, which are very easy and simple and only take a few minutes, aren't going to take priority if we can't wrap our heads around the fact that we need to start putting ourselves and our health as a priority first. Because if you know, 50% of first heart attacks are fatal. I don't want you not taking care of yourself for 50 years and then thinking, oh, but I'll be fine if I get sick, you know, medicine will take care of me. Not all the time, and you will just end up leaving your family sooner than what you should, and, you know, just having that feeling inside of you. And I know as a mom, there's just that feeling that, what if I'm gone? Who is going to take care of my family? So we can do things like Epsom salts baths. Those are fantastic. So it's not just like a sea salt or something that, you know, salt that we're putting on our food. Epsom salts are magnesium sulfate. So a lot of the times we are lacking in magnesium, and this is another tool that can be used for someone who is constipated, is magnesium is a calming mineral. It is the #1 calming mineral that we can have in our lives. Most people are deficient because our soil is deficient. And if our soil is deficient and the food's getting grown in there, the food that we're eating is going to be deficient. And so if we don't have enough magnesium, we're overall not going to feel calm. So whether that goes from our muscles, and like you see in your chiropractic practice, I'm sure you see so many people with tight shoulders, tight chest, and we're hunched over our computers all day. Yep. Epsom salts can help with that, and as we're able to absorb the magnesium from the Epsom salt bath, it is also going to calm muscles, and the rectum at the end of the, you know, whole intestinal chain is a muscle. And so it is possible, and that's why we will take magnesium citrate when we're getting ready for a colonoscopy, because in order to clean ourselves out, it's just relaxing that whole muscle, holding everything in, and everything's going to come out. It's not going to be that strong of an effect from just a magnesium Epsom salt bath. But over time, as you're doing them regularly, maybe once a week, when you're doing a cleanse, you can focus maybe 1 week when you're doing it every other night. It's just going to be calming and just allow your body to, first of all, get that magnesium that it needs to do so many different chemical reactions. And every molecule of glucose that needs to be metabolized uses 22 molecules of magnesium. That's also a reason why we're deficient in it, is it's just the chemistry of everything that we're eating right now. So the Epsom salt baths are fantastic. Dry skin brushing is another thing. And this is also kind of a physical vanity thing too, because anyone, and I mean this is especially with moms, we may notice, you know, a little bit more cellulite in places. Maybe we have some, you know, spider veins or varicose veins from our pregnancies. Dry skin brushing, you can get it. I should have brought mine up here when I was getting ready for the webinar, but you can buy them at pretty much any drugstore. They're fairly affordable. You'll find them in the area where there's like the bath sponges and the loofahs and stuff. So it is not a loofah. It's different from a loofah. But they'll have little sharp bristles, not sharp, but stiff bristles that you're not going to wet it. So all that it is you are going to start from the ends of your fingers all the way to the ends of your toes, and you're going to brush towards your heart. And what that's doing is we are activating the lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system is another one of those large, you can almost think of the lymphatic system like the garbage man of your body. It's just the system that there is as much lymph juice or liquid, fluid in our bodies as there is blood. And we have just as many lymph vessels all throughout, just like when you feel under your neck when you're sick and you have enlarged lymph nodes. You have it every way, and especially in your groin, especially in your armpits, our breast area and our necks. That's where a lot of our lymph is collects, and that's because there's a lot of waste coming out of those areas. That's where we sweat a lot. So when we are stagnant all the time and we're not moving as much as we should, our lymph isn't moving the way that it should, and it's not getting all of those chemicals and toxins to our liver so they can be detoxed and then get out of our body. So that's what you're doing, is you're stimulating the lymph system and you're moving it towards your heart, because that's where all the lymph eventually travels up to your heart, goes into your blood vessel system, and then gets taken to the liver for detox. So that's another good way, and as well, it helps with dry skin, especially at this time of year. We're all inside and there's dry heat and we're getting really flaky, itchy skin. Helps with that, and it also helps with cellulite. So Epsom salt baths are fantastic. And to remedy the situation of hopefully why our lymph is very stagnant in the beginning is just gentle exercise. Anytime that you're sweating, it doesn't have to be hardcore. It's not like you have to go out and do I'm not a hardcore worker. It's not like you have to go do a boot camp or make yourself throw up or anything like that because you're working so hard. It's just a gentle sweat. Our skin is our largest detox organ. And anytime you're sweating, you're helping to move those toxins out. So that is 3 gentle ways that you can do that aren't food related that will just help the process go a lot simpler and a lot more efficient as well.
Cool. Okay, so dry skin brush, you're talking about the ones that are on the long handle then, Ashley?
Yes, usually they have a long handle.
Yeah,
and that's so you can reach your,
So you can do as a back brush then too, right? But again, you want to do it dry. So how long do you find does it take? How long are you brushing, kind of going from fingertips and toes towards heart? How long does that process take? Like a minute or so? Or?
You can go, when I do it, I just do it super quickly because I'm not going, I know myself, it's the only way that something is going to be successful is if you keep doing it. So whether that's just you tell yourself that you're going to do it quickly for 30 seconds or a minute, that's more effective than not doing it all. Ideally, it would be 5 to 10 minutes, and you would be doing circular motions until your skin is a nice pink color. That can be irritating to some people depending how sensitive your skin is or not. But you can get them, usually they have a long handle, and mine, actually, the handle comes off. So it's got a little kind of thing that you slip your hand into, so it's right on your palm. So then you're just taking your palm and you're rubbing it along and you're rubbing it towards your heart.
That's what that's for.
Yes, you put it on your hand. Yeah, it's like a mitt. It's wonderful.
It makes sense.
And you want to do it before your bath or your shower, because if you're doing it after, your skin is wet and it can stretch more and it can actually cause more wrinkles or more sensitivity in your skin. So before your shower or your bath. Yeah.
Cool. I'm doing that starting today. That's awesome. I love that one suggestion. Yeah.
Awesome.
So let's go right into talk then a little bit more then about what you're offering with your program, because again, we talked about, now I'm going to share just really quickly. So my experience, I mentioned kind of at the beginning of the webinar, doing a juice, was like a juice and vegetable cleanse. And back in the mid-90s, again, it was not like a cool thing. Being vegetarian was still weird. I was, I think, still vegan, maybe starting to introduce eggs at that point.
Did you wear a lot of hemp?
I was not that crunchy, however, it was grunge, so there was Doc Martens and there was a lot of flannel. However,
so basically like walking down the street right now, because those are all back in.
It's back again, I know, and I did have Birkenstocks. I did have Birks, yes.
Nice.
But I wasn't too crunchy. However, and I'm certainly not now, and after 17.5 years of being vegetarian, I like to say I kind of woke up and I started eating the way my body should and feels best, and huge difference. However, back then, that was like, okay, you have to do a cleanse. You can't have, like you said, you can't have proteins, because proteins are going to, what I've been told, which is now I know not to be true, that stresses the body, it's hard on the kidneys, don't have fat, all that silliness. And so I was 2 days in and I just literally, I crashed, I felt like crap. And I'm like, I can't do, I think it was supposed to be a week or 5 days. I'm just like, I'm done at this point. And again, I think a lot of the stuff we're seeing now, it's the cleansing and detox of the green juice and the smoothies, and that's all the rage and the sexy thing. But as we're just kind of learning that this is not the thing to do this time of the year specifically, so what do you recommend instead?
I have a program, and this evolved from a separate program that I had called Mama Mojo, but which that one is designed to soothe digestion, balance your hormones, and give you more energy. So what I did is I took the basics of the cleanse in that program and I grouped it together to come up with the Calm Mom Cleanse. So my Calm Mom program itself is a free 30-day challenge that you can take to start to learn to take some time for yourself and to realize that taking care of you is not something that you should feel guilty about. So this will just be a continuation of that, wherein it is a 4-week program and each week has a different focus. So the first week, and going back to the whole basis of where if we want to get to really deep cleansing like the liver, and for anyone with hormone or digestion or exhaustion or energy issues, you are always going to want to address the liver. That is where everything's happening. That's where your hormones are processed and conjugated. That is where your energy is coming from, and putting together and tearing apart all of those nutrients that you are absorbing from your digestive system. And so that is where all the magic is happening. But we don't want to go and do a liver cleanse without first addressing the colon. So the first week of this cleanse is a colon cleanse. And I even hesitated using the word cleanse. I only used it because I knew people would know what I was talking about. In the Mama Mojo program, I actually just call it a Tudor tune-up because it's not one of those hardcore colon cleanses. It's not meant so that you are running to the washroom 10 times a day or you are having crazy gas or anything like that because you're eating all these crazy foods. It is meant so that by the end of that first week, you're having 1 to 3 lovely bowel movements that are the size from your wrist to your elbow. That is ideally what we want to be. So it's a week program. It has the weekly meal plan already set out for you. All of the recipes are picked out for you. And FYI, they're not vegan, they're not paleo, they are all gluten-free, they are all dairy-free. But other than that, they are just a whole mixture of different ways of eating, but that are family-friendly. Because the last part you want of a cleanse is to not be making a separate meal, or you are like having a green juice or green smoothie and then you have to make your family dinner. Like, that is just torture. So it is food that your family will eat. This is food that I make for my family all the time. If my 2-year-old is not eating it, it does not make it into any of my meal plans. So you get the weekly calendar, all the recipes, and the grocery lists already done for you. And the grocery lists are for about a family of 4. So if you have a bigger or a smaller family, you can adjust the amounts from there, but you would make the recipes just the same. So the first week you get a guide that walks you through, foods we're going to eat more of, foods we're going to avoid. I never say foods never to eat again or foods to only eat. It's not about being perfect. It's about 80% doing what you can and 20% chocolate cake happens. That's what I like to say. Sometimes chocolate cake happens. Whatever.
Yeah, that's realistic, right? So moms will tend to follow through if it's something that's doable, right? So
yes.
Yeah.
And it's never about making yourself feel bad or setting yourself up for failure, which is why we're not doing a green juice cleanse. So week 1 is colon cleanse. Week 2, I did not put the liver cleanse directly after the colon cleanse because, like I said before, cleansing is tearing down of the body, tearing down different structures in the body, and we don't want to do too much tearing down in a row. We need to have a week of building back up again and nourishing to replace that tearing down in those voids that are there. Because the body abhors a void, does not like having empty spots of things. It's either going to fill it with more toxins or fill it with nutrition. So the week after the colon cleanse is a week full of nutrition, but it's focused on hormone health. So I know that, so not only just the sex hormones, but the stress hormones, because stress is just as much of a toxin as cigarette smoke or alcohol. It is just the same, and it is so acceptable in our society. You ask someone, how are you? Busy. That's just the word that comes out. And it's like, oh yeah, we're all busy. We're all, it's just this whole thing of like, yay, let's see who wins the award for being the most stressed out. Like, that's not getting us anywhere. So week 2 is about healthy hormones. Again, there's a whole guide. Week 2 is more focused on lifestyle factors, but you still get a different weekly calendar, all different recipes. There's not one recipe that is repeated throughout the 4 weeks. So you get all new recipes, and you get the grocery list again for week 2. Then we want to get to the meat of detoxing, which is really the liver. And when we do liver cleansing, there's actually 2 phases of liver cleansing. There's phase 1 and phase 2, and each one requires different nutrients and a different type of diet. So phase 1 liver cleanse is week number 3. It is more of a vegetarian or a vegan-based diet, but again, still foods that I threw in a few meat protein-based meals in there just to keep your family happy while you're making, maybe some different foods that they're not used to. But again, I have the cleanse guide showing you what to include, what to leave out of the diet that week, how much water you should drink, all of the recipes, the grocery list. And then week 4 is the phase 2 liver cleanse, because phase 1 is where the not so bad chemicals are processed and they're neutralized after that phase 1. So they are neutralized and they become water soluble and they go out through the kidneys. If something, however, is a really bad toxin and it goes through phase 1 and it's not completely neutralized, that intermediate metabolite product is actually more toxic than the first initial toxic chemical. So it then has to go through a second detox, which is phase 2. And that's why you always want to follow a phase 1 with a phase 2 liver detox. Otherwise, you end up, and that's why with a vegan juice cleanse, you're doing a whole lot of phase 1 liver detox, and you're not completing it with phase 2. So what you're left with is a whole bunch of these extra toxic byproducts that are going about, and they're taking all of your antioxidants in your body, because the antioxidants are there to try to neutralize all of these things. They're just robbing your body of those. And that's why you can sometimes end up feeling crappier, and some people end up with long-standing health issues because you're not completing the full liver detox cycle. So phase 2 requires more of a meat, protein-heavy diet rather than a phase 2 or phase 1. So that's what's in the phase 2 meal plan. It's already done for you. I give the guide that educates you so that if you in the future want to go and find new recipes to fit into maybe a phase 2 or a phase 1, you can play around with that. But if you don't want to think about it, which most moms don't have time to, the grocery list, again, is picked out the recipes that match that, focus of that week. It's already done. And so 4 weeks, 28 days, I guarantee you your PMS will be better, and this also can be applied to menopausal women. So if anyone signs up, have your mom do it with you, especially if she's menopausal. There is no reason to have anyone struggling with menopausal symptoms or PMS symptoms. So it's going to help balance your hormones, it's going to give you better energy levels, and your digestion will be, hopefully all those digestive issues will be completely gone by the end of the 4 weeks.
That's awesome, Ashley. No, this is good. And I think, to me as a mom, this is what I heard, grocery list. Yeah, all that stuff's cool, it makes sense, but grocery list, that is the caveat, I think. And I think to give moms all the steps, because for a lot of moms, when I've just discussed even just the concept of meal planning, it's so staggering for them. So I think just itself, that gift of your program is that, so that it's very plug and play. It's easy to kind of know what to do. Here's my recipes. And I think even too, and maybe this is kind of part of your, the reason that you're doing this as well too, to maybe start to get moms, so once they get through the cleanse, notice the change, start making healthier choices then on a regular basis, they start to get in the mode of meal planning and start to see how that frees up an incredible amount of time. It's less stress. It's not the what are we having for dinner every single night kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So is that kind of part of your method in your madness, if you will, to kind of start to scoot them into that?
Yes, and it's totally like how many times, and normally it would be a phone call, but now it's a text. You text your husband, what do you want for dinner tonight? And how 99% of the time he's replying with, I don't know, what do you feel like? And you're like, why are all the decisions always on me as the mom? It's just, men just don't have that planning gene. It's just not in their brains, or it takes them a long time to learn that skill. The moms were always worrying about what's happening next. What's happening next? How can I make, and it's always the time stress always involves the moms. And so this is the way of, there might be a few extra things that you have to do, like taking an Epsom salt bath. And you don't have to do, they're lovely to do. The food alone, just following the meal plan, will be effective in achieving all of those health issues and clearing them up, like I said. But if you can do the extra things, those are just those lovely self-care aspects that we don't normally do. And because I'm already saving you time, you're not running to the grocery store for leftover ingredients. You're not, because every time you do that, some people do that 2, 3, 4 times a week. That's probably 20 minutes, half an hour there and back, and getting it in your house, probably dragging your kids there, who wants to do that. And it's like whoever gets in and out of the grocery store just buying the one thing they went for. It's always like $30 or $20 later. So yes, the program is going to cost money. Yes, it's going to take time over and above maybe what you're used to, but I'm also already have saved you that time and saved you that money with all the extra running around that you're not doing.
Yeah, I can totally attest to that because last year at this time I was so much more on track with like meal planning, and I'd say we probably did, and I know with your program it's, I like Ashley, we kind of like, it's not all so, you know, there's going to be a couple meals where it's leftovers or it's, you know, something else will be the choice, or we're going out to dinner or something like that, right? So I like it's a lot more realistic. So mine was kind of very similar, but then falling, and it felt like a lot of work at first. It was. It just kind of getting the mode of it, right? But then it's like I'm coming home at lunch from my office. I'm like, oh, there's lunch. It's ready. Oh,
Yeah.
dinner's all set, right? Like it was
Dinner's
so
in the crock
comforting.
pot. Oh, lovely.
Crock pot. Oh, I love the crock pot.
Yes.
And then now, yeah, for sure, we're at the store 4 times a week. I think not only are you spending more time, I think you're spending more money. So I think for any moms to take a look at your program, which I think is very, very reasonable, at like $127, and people will see it's a little yellow button that says sign up today. You just click on that to go ahead and to do that. I think that by learning these skills is going to actually save, and women, the moms will be able to get that back and then some. Not to mention the health benefits you're going to notice. The more energy that you have, your kids are happier and less cranky. I mean, and to me, it's like you can't even. That's like a priceless gift, right? To be able to have. So I think your program is great that it gives moms so many of the tools and the steps and techniques to get there, and then they're going to get that back and then some. You know.
And that's why I call myself, and you said at the beginning, you love the term meal planning mediator. And that's what I came up with that. I know that you know, ideally, I mean, maybe within a spectrum, but you know what's healthy and you know what's not. You know that gobs of sugar isn't healthy. You know that packaged food isn't healthy. You know that takeout food at McDonald's isn't healthy. But everyone is so busy, and it takes time to plan. And so let me be that mediator between where you want to be health-wise, and let me just do the hard work for you. I used to call myself like your virtual like wife, or a virtual sous chef almost. Like I'm the one doing that planning so that you can have a lovely conversation with your husband instead of fighting that he never does anything. You're just taking that all out. You're taking away the responsibility of, oh, I have to choose healthy foods so my family will be healthy and will grow up strong. Like that's a lot of responsibility. I'm taking that off your plate for 4 weeks, and you'll have those recipes forever that you can just keep rotating into your regular family meal planning or regular family repertoire. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say moms get the program, they go through 4 weeks, then what? So what kind of happens after that for them? Or do you kind of see, okay, now you've got this program, you can plug and play it once a year, twice a year, every quarter? What do you kind of think about that? What would you recommend?
I would repeat it. Now, it depends on your symptoms before or after. So I include a progress chart in it so you can track how you're doing throughout it. And this is also because you'll get to the end and you'll feel better, and you'll forget how shitty you felt before you started. So you can look and be like, oh, my gas was a 9 and now it's a 2. Oh, I guess it is making a difference. So that's always the good part. So if you still are having some of those symptoms that are bothersome at the end, they will be better, I guarantee it. But you could repeat it if you wanted immediately, or you can keep it and repeat it every spring and fall. That's why I give you the tools to be able to do it. I don't like to just give you, there's a reason why I didn't just give you the grocery list and the calendar and the recipes, but I gave you the guide as well. And this is so you can start understanding why I designed it the way that I did. So you can go and pick new recipes and plug in maybe in the spring some fresher recipes, because these ones are they're really good for winter. They're really like heavy, not heavy, but they're very nourishing, warming, grounding foods, because we're in a cold time right now. And so they're very comforting that way while still being healthy. In the spring, maybe you'll want to go find some other recipes and plug those in there, or you can come back and maybe by then I would have developed like a Calm Mom spring and fall cleanse separately. I don't know. Who knows what the future is going to hold. But that's why I want to give you the guides so that you can then take that and run however you want to. And maybe you repeat it. Maybe you just do the meal plans for the first 4 weeks. Then maybe in the spring you repeat it with the meal plan, but then you add in some of those self-care components like the Epsom salt baths, or maybe you get an extra massage, or you take a new class that is fun but also helps you sweat. Like that's where you can keep evolving it each time you take it. Minimum, I would say, is every spring and fall.
Cool. No, that makes sense with what you're talking about before, when the best times were to cleanse, right? So the twice a year kind of makes sense. And that's kind of the spring cleaning thing, right? That we tend to go into organizing our houses and clothes and all that kind of stuff. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to also tell moms that are listening right now as well too, Ashley and I talked about this before, is that any of the moms that do purchase the program, I'm going to actually throw in as an extra bonus my 30-day Mama Meditation experience. And so when I started Mom at 41 in the summer and started getting a lot of feedback from moms, the biggest thing was like, I'm stressed, I don't know how to create balance. I'm, probably a lot of the stuff that you hear from moms as well then too, Ashley, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, what is a simple way to do this? So I went, you know what? Stillness, meditation, 5 minutes of stillness each day for 30 days. And I know this is something, it seems like it's such a simple practice, and it is, but I think is really transformative. So this is why I created the program. And so any of the moms that purchase the Calm Mom Cleanse are going to get this sent to them then too. What's going to happen is that Ashley will, so this offer that Ashley's got, which you see popped up there right now, will actually be until Friday, which is the 16th, I believe, at midnight. So that'll be available until then.
Now, maybe we should say Eastern Standard Time or your standard time.
Eastern. Well, right. Get it now. Don't wait till the last minute. Get the program, invest in yourself, right? But yeah, we'll say it's a couple hours either way, right? So yeah. But however, so when you do purchase the program, Ashley's going to send me a list of everyone that's purchased. I will send you that. And then each day you're going to get what's called a mindful moment email. So just a really quick couple paragraphs, just a reminder to spend your 5 minutes of meditation. My friend Sherry Henderson, who's a meditation teacher, created a beautiful guided audio meditation, so you can listen to Sherry if you want in her lovely voice as you meditate, and then a 5 quick tips to meditate. So it's just a very simple thing, but I think really effective, and might kind of actually be a good mix, if you will, then Ashley, with your program. And so just again, start putting ourselves first, right?
Yes, and meditation isn't just meditation. When it comes into even all of your different symptoms that are happening in your body, is you have, fight or flight response in your nervous system, and you have rest and digest. And you're not going to have any detoxing happening effectively if you're in fight or flight all the time. Mm-hmm. And not to mention that is helping, when you're in fight or flight, you don't digest your foods properly, your adrenal glands and your cortisol levels get out of whack. That starts to affect your sex hormones and contribute to issues like PMS and menopause. It is all encompassing. That's where stress, it's not instantaneous, but stress does kill. And this is helping to give you the tools to take care of it from a nutritional level, but also from a mind level, which is where it actually starts. Stress is not a cold that you catch. It is something that we can learn to change your reaction to.
Right. It is not you make me feel stressed. It's your fault. You did this to me. It's like, no, honey, it's your response to it. We all have shit. Yeah. But how do we respond to it, right? Do we have the tools nutritionally, mentally, emotionally to be able to adapt to the stress? And I think that's really key, so that it isn't a killer, which you're so true. It's such a huge thing, but people feel they're out of control. So I think giving the tools with simple things like being mindful meditation, nutritionally what we can do to put our body in that space is going to be huge. So,
and something that I'm working on this year, I'm not the best, self-admittedly, at meditation. So I'm trying to work and fit it into my life, and you can fit it into different activities that you didn't even think you could, like showering. It's kind of like eating. You have to eat anyways. It can create health or create disease. So if you can be mindful when you drink your tea, mindful when you have a shower, mindful, this is creating those areas of focus and not, thinking about, at least you don't have to think about your grocery list because that's done for you.
Stillness, right? Well, if we're being honest then, I'll be honest with you then too, the reason I created this program too was also for me, so that I was like, okay, I have to get in my 5 minutes meditation, because at the time, it was a program that went from October 1st to October 31st. Yeah, 30 through 31st, 30 days. And so I was like, well, I'm like posting on the Facebook page. I can't be like, oh, I didn't meditate today. Be like, there was integrity involved. And so it helped to kind of keep me accountable so that I was doing it as well too. And yeah, I've fallen off track with that stuff before, but it's those little things where you start to notice, you're like, I'm stressing out. I snapped at someone today. This is not me. And just kind of being aware of it and then getting back on track. We all fall off track. Yep. It's just that, do you get back? And do you have the tools to get you to there? So it's going to be able to help nutritionally with your program, a little bonus meditation,
Because once you know all this stuff, you can't go back. You can't, your head's out of the sand. You're no longer in denial. You have to make a change. It's just whether you're going to feel crappy about yourself that you didn't take the opportunity, Or are you going to take action and feel good that maybe maybe you didn't have $127 to spend, but when you look at it, you really did. You just didn't want to. So if you just do, it's that taking the first step is always the hardest. And believe me, I've been there. I've done that. I created the Calm Mom Challenge because I needed the Calm Mom Challenge too. It's just, I needed it. And we're just turning our messes into our message. So I hear you on that, totally. Yeah.
I like that. And you know what? If I can add in one more thing before we finish up as well too, I would encourage moms, because here's the thing. I found in my practice as a chiropractor, and we have a lot of our patients where they start coming in, they bring in their family, they bring in their friends, so everyone's doing it, right? And so they have this support of other people that are making these choices, whether it's chiropractic, nutrition, or otherwise. When people don't have that support, it's tougher. It's a lot tougher. So I would encourage the moms that are doing the program, let your friends know. Do it together. Do it as like a mom's group or something. I think that would be really cool. And so then you have the support of other moms that are near you as you're going through the steps. And so you don't feel like you're doing this alone. And you start to kind of bring your friends, your family into this, so you can all start doing that. So the next time you have a family dinner, a special outing, you're not the weirdo bringing in the different foods.
Yeah.
They're yeah, like, you know what I mean? They're down with the program. And for me, because a lot of my friends, I don't really have family here where I live in Alberta, so we're not with family as much, but a lot of my friends that I hang out with, we all eat similar ways. And when patients would say to me, well, what do you do when you go to an event and this happens, that? I'm like, oh, it doesn't really happen, because the people I hang with know how I eat. I either bring my own stuff or they eat that way too. So I think helping out another mom as well too, and then helping to give you that not just accountability, but that support, I think would be huge. Yeah. So, get the program, get your mama friends on board too, and then all do it together, Book clubs and all that, and going out for wine, that's all fun and good. But I think this could be something that's way more transformational than that.
And that's still in your 20%. Wine and bitching about your husbands, that's going to happen less often, because you're not going to need the outlet as often. I honestly have found that too. I love a good glass of wine, but it's not like that. It's not like I need it as the release for stress, because I have other ways of doing that. I mean, to me, and this sounds so maybe cliche, but cooking is my forced meditation, because if I'm not focusing when I'm cooking, I'm gonna actually cut my finger off. Like, I have to focus when I'm cooking, and maybe I don't meditate formally every day, but if I have to cook every day, I might as well focus on what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And with my meal planning, the way of doing it, it's way less stress, and you don't have to be all rushed doing it. You already know what you got to do. It's already there.
I love it, Ashley. This is cool. So, moms, you have another 30 seconds. You can click on the button. If not, and somehow you missed it or had to go and then come back, you'll get that in the recorded replay as well then too. But I would definitely encourage you to take Ashley up on her offer. I think this is a great program, Ashley. So I appreciate you so much for doing this with me today. This has been awesome. And I'll put in the links as well, too, to the post emails, the episode when you were just on Mom at 41, the podcast recently, so people want to know a little bit more about Ashley, her website, and all that great stuff as well. So thanks so much again, Ashley. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. I hope everyone learned lots. Yes.
So when you get the Calm Mom Cleanse, the spring version, we'll get back on. Then we'll
I'll just get it right on in all my free time.
Sure. Exactly. Cool. Thanks, Ashley.
No problem.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Bye.